Hey guys, it's Myndrr bringing you a video about XDefiant, Ubisoft's new Call of Duty clone. I played for a couple days and I have to say it feels somewhat similar to how it did a year ago, which leads a lot of people to wonder why it's been a year since the last playtest. We'll get into that. Despite being a playtest, it feels pretty polished except for the spawn system, which likes to respawn people you just killed right in front of you. But overall, what kind of game is XDefiant? Well, one area where it's different from COD is that the time to kill is slightly higher. This has some positive consequences, at least in my opinion. Fights are a bit longer and there's more opportunity for skill to prevail, rather than fortunate crosshair placement being everything. For another thing, the longer time to kill makes single-shot weapons fairly viable. I like to say sometimes that console FPS developers are racist against single-fire weapons, because generic automatic hitscan rifles are the sort of weapon that lend themselves most easily to gamepad aiming. It feels nice to be able to use something else besides that very common pattern of gun in a Call of Duty style FPS. Another difference is the presence of abilities. You've probably seen by now that XDefiant has a number of them. For the most part, they have fairly minor effects: AoE healing circles, AoE damage circles, a deployable shield, a riot shield, a wall hack, things of that nature. They aren't spammy or distracting, and they generally take a backseat to the gun gameplay. I think Ubisoft has struck a good balance in this area for the most part. On the other hand, the character design, in my opinion, is wanting. I haven't played hardly any Ubisoft games, but I think these characters are taken from their various franchises. There aren't any showstopper designs here that will make people play XDefiant simply because the characters are magnetic. Games like Team Fortress 2 or Overwatch or Valorant benefited enormously from the presence of stylish and attractive characters that people want to play, and XDefiant characters, pardon the pun, really lack an X factor. Moving on, I'll bring up something I know I would be curious about: aim assist and input matchmaking. I'm always discouraged from console-style FPS by the extremely aggressive controller aim assist which you're forced to play against. XDefiant is one of the few games I've seen where you can play mouse and keyboard only lobbies, or vice versa. Although for whatever reason, the game specifically notes that this will not apply to ranked mode. Circling back to why the game took a year to come back with mostly the same features, there's been a lot of drama surrounding XDefiant. A games journalism website called Insider Gaming claims that it received reports from Ubisoft employees detailing various problems with the development process of the game. For example, a toxic work culture and an overemphasis on trying to imitate Call of Duty. The director of XDefiant denies this and claims the game was delayed for a year to work on back-end and netcode issues that prevented the game from scaling. I don't have any special information myself, but I do know that the author of the article was hit by a DMCA by Ubisoft when he published a video on YouTube detailing these claims. So in this instance, I'm inclined to believe the journalist, as absurd as that sentence may sound. Regarding the mode you see me playing most often in these clips, it's called Hotshot, and as far as I know, as someone with no experience in Call of Duty, it's unique to XDefiant. In this mode, enemies drop a token upon death that grant 1 score. Picking up 4 tokens or so makes you the team's Hotshot, a speed-boosted player who grants more score for his team when picking up enemy tokens. There's a great emphasis on dealing with the enemy hotshot, whose last known position is highlighted on the map and who grants extra tokens upon death. This leads to pretty interesting gameplay that feels more fitting for the game than the other modes with more static objectives that make you feel like fish in a barrel. The team naturally aggregates around their hotshot, who leads them into battle and uses their extra speed to style on the enemy team, or gets owned. Either way, it's great. By the way, you've probably noticed by now that the point of aim doesn't really match the iron sights for this weapon. This is true of most optics in the game. In addition, moving around often causes your sight picture to decenter itself. So overall, it feels like you do not have a very reliable point of aim in XDefiant. My impression is that this is because it's a console FPS designed with aim assist in mind. Nobody really notices or cares in a console FPS when the point of aim is slightly off, because aim assist will make their shots hit anyway. I have to say that despite a lot of positive traits, I don't think XDefiant has a positive future. Having your game called a Call of Duty killer is worse than having it called a World of Warcraft killer. It would have been better to see the XDefiant management stake their company's admittedly high talents on a more creative goal than cloning COD in a crude attempt to supplant its lucrative position in the games market. The problems are not only in the creative limitations associated with cloning a game, the problems also lie in the player base you acquire by doing so. There are already a vast number of complaints about every aspect of the game, every minor way in which it is different from COD, etc. By cloning a game, you attract a user base that expects that game's gameplay. But that's not all. You also attract a user base that became disgruntled and quit the previous game. Whether or not they did so for legitimate reasons, and often they did, these are people who are, you might say, inclined towards disgruntlement. So it's very common to see massive amounts of dissatisfied sentiment in discussions about games which cloned others. XDefiant is no exception here. Couple this with a developer team that obviously struggles with public criticism and is evidently having trouble getting things done internally, and, well, I somehow don't give a good prognosis to this game. That said, I would love to be proven wrong. Even though it's not really my sort of FPS, I know COD players have been desperate for a replacement for quite a long time. Unfortunately, it's really hard to displace an incumbent franchise that has made billions of dollars and has a proven formula. If I were the director of XDefiant, I would veer the game away from Call of Duty and take it in its own direction. I also think the game shouldn't shy away from being casual. Too many FPS games are trying in vain to be esports when they are fundamentally just casual fun at heart. COD games are in this category for me. I think I'll make it a convention going forward to have a section in these new game reviews called What Would I Tell a Friend? And as for XDefiant, I would tell a friend, it's worth a look, especially if you like COD games, but it's probably doomed. And that's my ultimate conclusion on the game. Thanks for watching this far. Feel free to follow the channel or check out my Twitch in the description if you please. You can consider this a video game variety channel with a particular focus on shooter games and mecha stuff. I also feel pretty strongly that YouTube was better before money got involved, and so I don't monetize any of my stuff. In the future you might see reviews of upcoming games, retrospectives on old ones, or brain rot content if some particular game catches my interest. But anyway, till next time. By the way, I have some bonus footage at the end here, just for you.
We have the wind at our back.
Tested. Light 'em up. Nothing cleans like burning.